with regard to the Nifty Bank, can it continue to provide support? Because yesterday that was the big supporter on the Nifty 50 index. You also saw IT seeing a bit of recovery. Yesterday morning you were negative, but yesterday at close you had turned positive. I'm trying to understand whether there are immediate upsides to where we are, or are we going to be very, very range bound?
So I think on the indices we should be range bound broadly, but I think on the market breadth front, or maybe few sectors front, few stocks front, there could be fresh trends which are emerging. So yes, the banks or Bank Nifty played a very important role in terms of pushing the markets up, or maybe pulling the markets higher from those extreme lower levels where we opened with a negative kind of a cut on both the indices. And I think the prime reason for that was the contribution from HDFC Bank. If I'm not wrong, I think the stock closed almost 2.5 to 3% positive yesterday. Mild bit of support which emerged from the other PSU banking names, and SBI, of course, which has been one of the strongest stock. So there were those few odd large cap names which managed to support the banking index. The put call ratio for the Bank Nifty on the day, I think on Thursday or Friday, was almost at 1.95 to 1, and we managed to jump back to 1.1, 1.2 plus mark for the put call ratio after yesterday's price action move. So which means indicates that above 1 is generally a territory which is considered to be bullish. So that's one of the reasons why I would believe Bank Nifty continues to be looking a little bit more stronger. The only concern for the Bank Nifty is the mix within the banking stocks. Last week, midweek, there was ICICI Bank, which was heading or very close towards a breakout. That stock has slipped in the subsequent next 2 days. Yesterday, it was HDFC Bank which managed to lead the charge. It's difficult to expect that whether these stocks would probably get any kind of a major follow through, and especially after a very strong kind of a price performance day. That's the only concern with the mix within the banking index. Otherwise, the sector has been doing fairly well, looks quite strong even at current levels.
So given this rebound, Kunal, and given that yesterday morning your bias was all sell calls, does it change now? What are your stock calls this morning?
So I'll go with a buy and a sell over here. And to try and lower the beta, you have to try and look at more stable stocks. So Bharti Airtel apparently is one of the stocks which has bounced back from its 200-day moving average. I think the stock has gone through a classic mean retracement, mean reversion. In the last 3 or 4 years, there have been 3-4 attempts for the stock to try and come back towards its 200-day moving average, and every time the stock has seen a fantastic bounce for itself, as well as a resumption of the uptrend. So expecting the same for Bharti Airtel this time around. 2060 as the immediate target, 2010 as a stop loss. Paytm was something which I recommended as a sell yesterday. Would continue to recommend on the short side. The stock closed on the negative bias yesterday. Expecting the stock to confirm a breakdown on the short-term charts. It's very closer to a major support around the 1125, 1130 range. So would expect the stock to head lower. 1100, 1080 as a target for Paytm. Stop us at 1150.
Kunal, how do you look at the entire market, given the fact that yesterday we had a relatively low volume day, which is there. Was a short covering that we saw in the Nifty 50, and then a long siding in Nifty Bank, and then now we're seeing 25,800 and 26,000 again becoming resistance levels for the market there.
So yes, I think the range for the index is shifting, but it's not that wild a shift which was there in the previous month. It was a 500 point shift earlier. Now it's almost like a 200 to 50 point shift what we're seeing on the index. So that's one positive. Maybe the added factor for that is the India VIX is not rising very viciously on the upside. We are not seeing the India VIX at 15, 14 and a half kind of a zone. We are seeing this at 12 and a half to 13, 13 and a half kind of a zone. So that indicates that maybe the markets are a tad bit volatile, but not as volatile as what they were maybe in the last couple of months when the range was very, very wide. The concern for the markets is the market breadth. So, in the month of December and January first half, when the market had seen a fantastic recovery, it was the market breadth which actually showed the correct picture, because once the market breadth starts to revive, you actually see the index going into a very strong, steady and a gradual uptrend, which is here to sustain. Now, over the last couple of days, of course, in the previous week of selling and even yesterday, the market breadth was on the negative side. So it tells you that the market sentiment has not yet opened up. To add to the fact, when the market actually sees a downside, so for example, last week, there were points where the Nifty closed by 150, 200 points on the downside, and there was an immediate follow through for the Nifty in the subsequent days. This time around, when you're seeing a bounce back, there is not immediate follow through on the upside. That's also indicative that the markets are not looking at a major breakout, of the ranges, and that's why I would believe that more of a range-bound action is something which could prevail.
Okay, on that note, let's take a very quick break. Come right back. We'll continue our market discussion.